Here's the picture we're going to record today, and welcome to Papercraft Possibilities. Just one picture on this page. Let's roll that intro and get started. So here we are with the one picture. I'm going to use this Bluebird cardstock from Close to My Heart because I think it really worked well with the photo that I have. First, we're going to cut out the center of this paper, and so we can save that piece for future uses. I'm giving this a 1-inch border, and here I am just kind of showing you the different tones that this paper has, and I want to make sure I'm using the dark side, so I'm always checking to make sure that we've got that. So I start at the 1-inch mark and come down to 11, and I'm going to do that all the way across. And here's the white that I'm going to use on top. So this is the daisy white. I'm taking a 1-inch mark off of just two sides. That means that a 1/2 inch will be showing. Don't throw away those white pieces there. You can always use them for journaling or framing of something. So save those 1-inch scraps there for you. And I'm going to bring over the Versamat, and it's much easier when you don't have a middle on this to make sure you have a little bit of tape down. And I'm making sure, again, I've got the right sides on. So I want the darker side up. I'm always double checking that, as you will see. And just that little bit of tape in the corners, it doesn't do any damage to your work. It just helps hold down that piece while you're taping up the sides to put down your white piece there. And you'll see me coming in with my tape, and I tape up the sides as close to the center as I can get. This means that it won't show when you put down your white layer, and it's easier to do this than to do the white, because if you do the white, you're kind of guessing on how far in to put the tape, and you'll end up sticking it to your mat or your table, whatever surface you're working on. And centering it up there, and I'm using my Versamark up on the corners, or on all sides actually. I'm using those numbers to line up my paper. I'm just smushing it down there now that I'm happy, and you know that's a Susan term, smushing. Bringing in my photo and working with that Bluebird cardstock again. And I'm going to be bringing in some vellum here. And keep in mind, all my tools and products that I use are always listed below in the title. So here's my vellum. This is a paper that's discontinued, and I don't know the name of it. I'm so sorry, but it's no longer available. The vellum I'm using just to kind of tone down that paper just a little, just because it's just busy. So I'm going to make 3 layers here and then put my photo on top. And usually you don't want to tape vellum too much if you can avoid it, but here I'm putting a picture and some paper over it so it won't matter so much. So just a few pieces of tape there, and I think I got it there. Maybe not. I'm rethinking that. I do that a lot. Perfectionism in me. And the other piece that you'll see laying over to the right there, that's a cut I did on Cricut. I wanted a little pocket to put some journaling in. Here I'm checking for the blue again to make sure I have the right side. Taping up the lighter tone. But anyways, the piece over on the right is a Cricut cut, as is the tag that's inside of it. Later on, you'll see me put some journaling on that tag, and I wanted to leave a private message for my daughter, not something everyone needs to see. And I think what we're going to do now is put that little pocket together. So before, I did this off screen, but I came in with a scoring board, and I scored the size of that. And now I'm going to bring in some tear tape just because it's a little bit stronger. And I think this is a great way just to conceal some journaling that not everyone needs to see, but you know, the person that it needs to go to will eventually see this. And I know many of you have heard me mention before that my daughter is on Instagram. She's Stitched by Alexis. She's a phenomenal quilter and takes in work from all over the United States. She is one crafty, talented woman, so you might want to look her up. And while I'm here taping up this envelope, what you want to take a look at is I have a private group over in Facebook now. And just go up to your search bar on Facebook and look for Papercraft Possibilities, Susan Sutherland. And, or excuse me, it's Papercraft Possibilities private group. I'm sorry. And if you join us over there, that's where I'm keeping everyone kind of in a private group so we can share our work and keep it private, and keep the not so good scammer type people out. And I'll be posting over there quite a few things and changes that are going on from Close to My Heart and Stampin' Up, because there's a lot of changes going on. So I wanted to keep you all in the loop privately over on that group. So go ahead and search for us. Here I'm making sure that tag is going to fit before I glue everything down. Here I've come in and I've done the same thing. I've taken that paper with the suitcases and things on it, and I'm putting vellum over the top. But right now I'm just kind of thinking through how I should do this, because I know I'm going to have to tape some of that vellum. And like I'd said before, you really don't want to see that through the vellum. It just doesn't look very good. So I'm just putting a couple pieces of tape, and I'm going to come in later and put something in that spot to cover up that little tape area. And putting this down on the front of that envelope. Love it. So in a couple days here we go live with Stampin' Up, and you'll have to bear with us all for a while. A lot of changes going on. And on May 1st, there's new paper that Stampin' Up bought from Close to My Heart that they will be providing us with, but it's only going to be available to previous Close to My Heart customers. So, and the reason for that is because they were only able to purchase so much, and they think it's going to go very quickly. So they're giving it to the Close to My Heart customers first. So here I have some Cricut cuts coming back in again, and I did a slice and removed the center of these letters because I wanted to come in with a contrasting pattern or color. And I'm using the reverse side of that suitcase print. I'm using a yellow, it's a honey butter, color in it, which matches my tag there. And now I'm trying to kind of figure out, I'm doing a dry fit here. I'm trying to figure out how I want all of this to lay on this sheet. I'm traditionally not one for something that's going to tilt or, you know, just kind of be off kilter just a little. I don't know why I'm like that. I'm just that way. So as you'll see towards the end, I do come back and they are pretty straight. And here I was thinking about taking some of the titles off the side of the page to the right. I thought that could be fun, but for various reasons in the end that just didn't work out. Another time I'll do something like that, but for this particular one it just didn't work out. And again, I'm continuing to mess around with trying to fit this on the page. I try every which way to make it a little bit more creative, but in the end I go back to what is comfortable for me. So now we're going to do some blending. I'm going to be using the honey butter ink here, and I've got my craft mat out. And just trying to straighten it out. I just don't want to get any of the ink on my desk here. So I load up my brush there, tap it off. And here for a while, you're not going to see the color real strong because I start out really light because I don't want to go in with too much and regret it. You can always add, but you can't take away. I do go in two different directions a lot of times just to make sure I'm getting both sides of the brush. There, you can see it coming through. Here I am towards the end. Now I haven't quite committed to how I'm going to put things down on the page, so I'm just coming in wherever and putting down that ink. Now I'm coming in with my Bluebird, and I'm using this stamp set called Let's Go Anywhere, and it's the scrapbooking stamp. If it's available, I'll link it down below. And I believe I bring in 3 different designs and put those on some stamping blocks. And I'm wiping off that ink previously. You can't see it, but watch what I'll show you. There we go. The inks, there's quite a bit still left there and you can't see it, so please be careful. And I'm going to do some second generation stamping. And I'm also going to test these stamps because they haven't been stamped with before, but I have rubbed them, like just to get off the processing dust from them. And I'm testing them here before I start really working with them. And so second generation stamping means I'm going to stamp on the pad once or stamp somewhere off of my project, and then I'll bring it over to my scrapbook page. And I'm just going to make my own background here. And I like doing this when I'm working with white cardstock. It gives it some interest in the back instead of just being plain. So here's one stamp, then a second stamp. And I am trying to rotate this one around. And on that particular stamp, it says, let's go anywhere. So it's like a little dot dot line from the back end of the airplane with a heart. And then it says, let's go anywhere. And now I'm coming in with, there's 2 different little airplanes on this set. And again, I'm going to do second generation stamping. I'm just testing it first here. And it looks like it's ready to go. And again, I'm going anywhere with this. Make sure to turn it different directions when you're using it, just so it looks a little bit different and very organic. If I had thought about this, I might have done this prior to putting this on the Bluebird paper, and I would have done some of the stamps, especially the bigger one, coming off of the edge of the white paper. Again, so it would look a little bit more organic, like it's been a processed piece of paperwork and it's a printed piece. So here I'm bringing out our glitter pens. Please forgive me, I've forgotten the official name. Because I've never used this one, I am taking off that little yellow disc there. That keeps it fresh. So when you screw back on this top right there, you'll hear a little popping sound, and that's popping the ink inside. So don't take that little yellow disc off until you're ready to use this ink, because you'll get a much fresher pen. Here I'm shaking up the glitter inside, and I'm squeezing right here where I'm showing you, and I'm going to squeeze some of that ink onto my craft mat. And I wanted to get a really kind of a larger puddle there of ink. You can see that there. I'm going to come in and just flick a little bit of that paint, that glitter paint, down on my work surface there, on my scrapbook page. You'll be able to see it better in the close-up pictures that follow this scrapbook page. I will always have those still shots in there. So while I'm doing this, don't forget that I believe I think it's 2 more videos, and I'll be announcing the winner of this month's scrapbook, or excuse me, stamp set and die set. One and the same. So a stamp and die set, pardon me. I think we're almost there. Now there you can see the splashes coming out. They do dry up quite a bit lighter. But I like the little bit of glitter that it adds to the page. And these pins just snap right back on. You'll see it here in a minute. There you go. Just make sure they're closed up tight when you put them away. And I usually store them with the pin going straight up. In other words, the top of the pen or where the brush is, I point it towards the ceiling, because then it'll keep the ink even fresher. Here I've come in with these die cuts again, and I'm very carefully inking these up, and just a very little bit of glue. You do not need a lot. And that's why I actually love these little tiny bottles. And those are always linked below too. Just so you don't have a lot of glue kind of coming out on the sides, and these are such thin cuts. And those reverse tweezers are awesome for doing this. Kind of keeps your fingers out of this. And prior to doing this, I actually drew some very light lines with my T-ruler and a pencil. And I come back in after these are all down and erase that pencil mark. So they're right above it, and I know they're straight. Here I'm making sure all the edges have gotten down, so when you put them in your sheet protectors, they don't get stuck. Also, you'll notice, I think it's on the next one, on the O's, or on the next shot here, the center of the O's, you'll see on the top of the going, the first level, where it says going, there's a center of that O you want to make sure you keep when you pull these off your Cricut mat. Here I'm coming in with the die cuts for the center. And these just kind of nestle into that die cut there. And I laid them all out under each one of these cutouts, if you will, just so I knew I had all the letters there that I needed, and they were all in order, just so I didn't make a mistake. Here I am just nestling that in there. Same thing goes true for these die cuts. You want to make sure that you use just a little bit of glue, like just several dots. So when I move my hand here, you'll notice the O above this one has that center cut. That's what I'm talking about. I'm picking it up now. Make sure you don't get rid of that when you pull things off of your Cricut mat. Now here's the journaling that I had done, and I put it on one of my labels, which I'm holding in my right hand. But first I type it out on a piece of just normal paper, copy paper. And then I come back in and make sure it's going to fit wherever I'm putting down one of my labels. And here I'm going to show you a trick to adding the labels to help make sure they're straight. I've been doing this quite a bit, and it works out really well. So as soon as I get this figured out, it's coming, really, it's coming. But I had quite a bit I wanted to say here to my daughter, and many memories with this trip we made together, which will be forever special to me. So don't peel off all of the paper. Lay up the top, get it straight where you want it. And then very carefully try and pull the back to this off straight. And that'll lead your paper to where it needs to be. And I kind of rub it down as I'm going to get out any air bubbles. And as I always say, it may never be perfect, but it's on there. And there's what I had to say to my daughter. And I think just trying to find the right words, that took me as long to do that whole journaling as I did with the whole page. Just, pouring your heart out to your children. And I'm bringing in this vellum again just to disguise this just a little. And then the part that sticks out from that envelope, it says for my dear daughter or something like that, so people will know that that's kind of a private journaling. Here I'm bringing in some of my string, my baker's twine actually, and I'm going to use this at the top. Sorry, I'm off screen there a little. My computer was sticking in the way up there. And I believe I do maybe 2 or 3 layers of this string. I don't like when it, looks so minimal on there, so I try and put a couple layers of twine together. And I do like the texturing that it adds to the page. So right there, when I cut this, we'll end up having 4 strings, but I think I put one of them down. There we go, I think it's 2. So I'm just going to run this through the hole there, and I knot it up. And it's pretty much almost identical to the blue bird color. If I can find that, I'll link that below, but I've had it forever. And as you can see, there's quite a bit there, so I'll probably have it for a while longer. And I think we're coming to the end here. So on May 1st, which is here on Wednesday, I'll be posting this video today, which is the 29th. Look for that first video of my unboxing of my new Stampin' Up! Product. And then right after that, I'll start working with everything. I'm catching the side of that pocket there. There we go. And so you can see there's just a little bit of that text that kind of keeps it private. So there's my page. So hope you enjoyed this, and here we're going to start the still shots, pardon me, and until next time, please, first of all, thank you, and please, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit that reminder button there, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.